Welcome. This is PDX, the podcast to celebrate and uplift the people, places, businesses, and events that make Portland, Oregon a vibrant and thriving community, amplifying the unique culture, creativity, and connections that define our city. By fostering inclusivity and collaboration, we aim to strengthen the bonds that unite us and showcase the heart and soul of Portland to the world. Hi, I'm your host, Dawn Sellers. I'm honored to have been able to sit down with Cameron Whitten, founder of Brown Hope, and hear about this nonprofit that acts as a bridge with people across different backgrounds to support an ecosystem of unique programs that embrace abundance, promote solidarity, and nurture a world of healing and justice. At the age of 18, Cameron Whitten worked himself out of youth homelessness in Portland and has spent over a decade giving back to the same community that was there when they needed it most. Cameron has been a leader in several movements for positive social change and has served as the executive director for nonprofits such as Know Your City and Q Center. Cameron is currently the founder and CEO of healing justice nonprofit Brown Hope and co-founder of the Black Resilience Fund. I hope you enjoy today's episode. I'm here with Cameron Whitten from Brown Hope. Hi, Cameron. Can you tell me who you are and a little bit about yourself, your background?
Hey, Dawn. My name is Cameron Whitten. My pronouns are all of them. I am 34 years old. I've lived in Portland since 2009, originally from Sterling, Virginia, and I first came to Portland at the age of 18. I was homeless, nowhere to go. I was a client of the Homeless Youth Continuum here in Portland, and it was truly thanks to the kindness of perfect strangers that I had access to job training programs, going to school, and actually build a future for myself. So I've spent the last 15 years since then just giving back to this community that was there for me when I needed it the most. I've been a community activist for many different causes here in Portland, from Occupy Portland to Black Lives Matter to Portland's Resistance, and I've also been a nonprofit executive at various different community nonprofits, such as Know Your City, the Q Center, and the nonprofit that I founded and am currently the CEO of, which is Brown Hope. So good to be here today.
Yeah, wonderful. And you call yourself the CEO of Healing. I love that.
So I have three titles. I have founder, CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and CHO, which is the Chief Healing Officer.
Tell me about that.
So Brown Hope has a very unique mission. Our mission is around healing justice, which is different than social justice, which is different than racial justice. Healing justice is a very intentional philosophy that what we are dealing with in this world is related to unhealed trauma and hurt that we've held on to. And with the power of healing that we all can do, we can experience liberation. We truly believe that trauma is something that we can overcome in our lives. We do that as individuals, but we also do that great as community. And as we heal, we find the inspiration and the capacity to work together to actually create the type of transformation our society needs for every single person to get free. And so Brown Hope's wild dream is to inspire a world free of racism, and we do that through racial healing, creating spaces and opportunities for all of us to heal from our racial trauma so that we can come together in a kinder, more loving community.
I love that. And so tell me about Brown Hope. When you founded that, did you do that on your own, or did you collaborate with others? How did it happen in the beginning?
Yeah, so Brown Hope started in 2018. I'd been in Portland for almost a decade, and I'll be very honest. My introduction into Oregon was a rude awakening. I first came to Oregon in 2009, early fall of 2009, and I stayed at the house of my friend's dad in Albany, Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Oregon has history, which I didn't know as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew about Oregon history at the time was that this is where Jackie died of dysentery.
That's what we all learned, right?
Yeah, that's an Oregon Trail reference.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jackie.
Yeah.
And so I was in Albany, which is about a couple hours out of Portland, and we were there one night, and after that first night, the dad asked all of us to leave, and it was because he said it was because he was uncomfortable having a black man in his home. And it was that single act of racism that caused me to be homeless in Portland. At the time, I actually laughed. I thought it was so absurd that someone could look at the color of my skin and deny me something as basic as housing. Because growing up in Virginia, I had never experienced anything like that. It was only coming to the Pacific Northwest was the first time that I actually experienced this type of brutal act of racism. And so I thought it was funny at first and bizarre. I ended up staying in Portland for over a decade and came to this realization, like, that was not a one-time incident. Every single day, there is someone here who will see me and see me as different, other, and less, and treat me differently because of that.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is built upon a legacy of racism and white supremacy that Oregon was founded on.
Right.
And that's the territory of Oregon, not the indigenous land that was here.
Right.
But when the settlers founded Oregon in the 1800s, it was intended to be a whites-only utopia. And so that culture impacts us to this day. And let's be honest, it took 100 years for that constitutional the part of Oregon's constitution to even be taken out. And so this is within living memory.
Yes.
Some of the most horrendous acts of racism that have happened within Oregon's history. And it's something, especially living here in the Pacific Northwest, and a desire to be seen as allies and a desire to be seen as progressive or inclusive. A lot of people take shortcuts and refuse to actually examine the reality of the trauma and injustice that is rooted both in Oregon, but also rooted in our country. And if we can't have those honest conversations, if we can't acknowledge the truth, how are we going to heal? And so that really became a big part of my frame of reference in 2018, which after 10 years living in Portland, struggling and clawing to get a good career, to build a community of solidarity that I can trust, and to actually feel like my life mattered here. And after a decade, I thought I finally made it. And I got what I believed was my dream job with the city of Portland, working out in East Portland and helping, disabled folks and immigrants and Black, Brown, Indigenous communities, poor folks, write grants to the city and get projects funded for vital services and offerings. And I was damn good at my job. And myself, like many other Black, Brown, Indigenous employees who were working within that bureau with the city, we were shown the door. I was there for just 6 months without any warning, any notice whatsoever. I was fired. That was my breaking point. I had finally made up my mind that I was going to leave Portland forever and not look back.
But you didn't.
Yeah, I did not.
So what made you change your mind? Was there a moment? Oh, 2 days. Okay.
2 days.
Tell me about that.
2 days changed my mind. So 2 days after losing my dream job, I woke up from bed one morning, and I had this experience like I never had before in my life. I was lying there in bed, and I just felt this blue light fill my mind. And I heard just 8 words, like this gentle epiphany whispered in my ear. I heard the words, "Portland needs a Red Cross for Black people." And I found myself immediately inspired. I remember I said to myself, watch out, Albert Einstein, we're going to throw a Nobel Peace Prize. And within 15 minutes, the idea for Brown Hope came to be. And when I came up with that name, Brown Hope, I felt this wave of energy coursing through my body, this energy of acceptance, of healing, and of love, like I had never felt in my 20-plus years of life. And I said to myself in that moment, completely amazed. Wow. Every single person needs to have that feeling every single day of their lives. And that's how Brown Hope all started. We had no website, no programs, and we definitely didn't have any money.
Right.
But I knew that moment in March of 2018 that name and that feeling was going to take us places.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. And so you have grown quite a bit. You have a full board now and raising money, and you're a nonprofit. And so tell me about the programs that you offer at Brown Hope. You have quite a few different programs.
Yeah, so I'll just talk about two programs. First is our inaugural program called Power Hour, and that is a intentional space for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people to come together, to build community, to learn and strengthen their potential, and to collectively heal from the impacts of racial trauma. And so that is a 2-hour program we do every Monday night from 6 to 8 p.m., currently on Zoom. We went from in-person to virtual during the pandemic, and we've created this space. There is small group dialogues and conversation. We have a time called a vibe check where people get to talk about what's going on in their lives and actually get support from the group that acts like a collective shoulder. And then we have a guest speaker every single week that speaks on a different issue to help people just, learn and develop their self-confidence. We have a Q&A with that speaker, and then we close it out with a mindful moment, which is a time of meditation and intention setting. And so we've heard incredible stories from that program of folks really finding culturally specific and peer identified community, and how that has helped people build confidence in their voice, and how people have been able to kick addiction, or get promoted at work, or find the confidence to go back to school. There's been so many incredible stories of people's resilience and ability to surmount odds because of being involved in Power Hour. Another big part of Power Hour and all the work that Brown Hope does is giving direct cash assistance in the spirit of reparations. And so every single person who goes to Power Hour on any evening, they get a $10 stipend for their participation in the program. The other program that I would love to talk about is the Black Resilience Fund, which truly changed Portland as we know it when it first was created in 2020. And so 2020 was a hard year for all of us.
Yes.
And especially for Black Oregonians, we're dealing with these dual shockwaves of COVID-19 and systemic racism. And at the time, I had just left a position with the Q Center, and I had ran for office. I ran for Metro Council, District 5, for the Tri-County region, and I lost the primary election by 3%. And here I am. I had quit my job to run for office, and now this pandemic has hit, and I don't think people are really hiring like that. What am I going to do? Within a week of that primary election in 2020, George Floyd is shot. He's murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so from that moment, something that never happened before. I started being called and texted by all of these, and emailed by all these white folks, checking in on me, asking me how I'm doing, do I need anything, and I was so confused because I'd never seen that. Plenty of Black people have been on the news for being killed by police, and that's never happened before. And I really thought, is there a secret Medium article online so I can check in on your Black friends that I don't know about? And
no, I think it shocked all of us. It was very shocking that happened.
Yeah. Well, any state-sanctioned violence is shocking. And so I would say, as a Black person who's been doing Black Lives Matter organizing for over a decade, I was not shocked. So I want to be very clear that all of this violence is preventable.
Yes, definitely.
But I would say we are living in times traumatic times for Black people who have to endure so much pain and suffering, and they are not seen, they are not heard. And even if this is elevated in the media, do we actually see the political changes and the social changes that need to happen to prevent this from ever happening again? We clearly can do it. We have seen, we've come out of slavery. We have come out of segregation. We have come out of so many injustices within this country, where another hurdle that we need to overcome to advance into our new reality. And the time is now. So I want to say it is preventable. And that is why this is an injustice, because we can do something and we should do something. I was surprised in 2020, not because of George Floyd being murdered. There were a lot of white people who were surprised, which surprised me. That's what I'll say. And to see that they were surprised enough to start reaching out to me to check in and ask me if I'm okay. And I think I appreciate us talking about that, because it's wild, again, when I reflect on that memory, that folks asked me if I was okay, and I was. Turns out they weren't okay. Right. And that actually created a perfect condition where I think white people finally, again, had to face the reality of racial injustice and Black pain so much that they couldn't just turn it off and ignore it. Right. And so just a day after George Floyd is murdered, I go to Facebook and I say, "Dear friends, we have survived a long, painful week that is an extension of a year that has challenged all of us to the core. And, we can feel despair and disappointment, and yet we can show up as our best selves right now. And I know plenty of Black people who need utilities, groceries, rent paid. If you have any resources and you want to help out a Black neighbor, here's my PayPal, here's my Venmo, here's my Cash App." And, I thought when I put that on Facebook, maybe I'll raise $5,000 in a couple of days and I'll hand that out. That's not what ended up happening. I ended up being chained to my kitchen table for 11 hours and just all these texts and calls and emails flowing back and forth. By the end of that first day, I had raised $11,000 in 11 hours. Wow. And so I woke up the next day, and I actually had a couple of thousand left over. And I was trying my best to find Black people who needed bills, and I had some left over. But I knew also when Black people hear about free money being handed out, there's going to be more calls coming in. So I was like, okay, I want to keep raising money, but I don't want to keep using this Cash App, PayPal system. And so I went to GoFundMe, and I created a GoFundMe. I've done those before, and I'm sure we all have. And I just took 10 minutes to be like, okay, I need a name for this. Is a fund, is a Black fund, and what is that intention that we're trying to inspire with this fund? And for me, the answer was resilience. And so, boom, I made this GoFundMe called Black Resilience Fund, and I thought maybe we'll raise an additional $5,000. Well, that's not what ended up happening. What ended up happening instead was within the very first day, it was $55,000.
Wow.
That's
fantastic.
Yes. By day 2, we had raised over $155,000.
Nice.
And then within 29 days, we had raised over $1 million. Oh my God. And we gave that out directly as micro grants of $300 each to Black, Brown, and Indigenous neighbors living in the Portland metro region, and we gave that in the spirit of reparations.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yes.
Really. That is wonderful. And so is that fund still going?
Yes, today? We transformed that fund in 2022 into a village building program that comes with a monthly basic income guarantee. And so for us, we really understand that healing is more than just responding in times of emergency, but it's how do we actually create long-term platforms for resilience. And so we made this intentional program of we want to really help develop programming that gets us out of the long economic impacts of COVID. And so economic policies and economic programs like monthly basic income is a powerful way to get folks into a place of abundance, stability, but also very deep self-improvement and self-growth. And so we launched that village building program with a basic income in 2022. And for us, it was about more than just providing basic income. It was about creating a village. And so it's a cohort of people who meet together once a month, and they're there to develop relationships and really be friends and show solidarity for each other and to mentor and coach each other. And then there's also a aspect that we call spiritual capital. So we teach about practices like mindfulness and meditation and radical acceptance and gratitude and forgiveness. We teach about all of these concepts so that folks can really develop self-awareness, be more connected to themselves and their cultural roots, and be able to heal themselves and experience that freedom and liberation.
And so how long is that program? Do people go through that program and then graduate from it? Or is
it's a 3-year program.
3-year, okay. And then, and when did you start that?
2022.
Oh, okay. So you just have it's just concluding then, the first 3 years.
So we are still working with our current cohort. As most people are aware, there's been a lot of funding that has been taken away from nonprofits doing critical work. That has caused us to pause for a few months. And so we do plan on having this cohort conclude next year.
Do you want to share, were you getting federal funding that was cut?
We've received federal funding. Overall, most nonprofits are dealing with reduced income coming in, whether that is from federal government or from individual contributions or foundations.
In general, it's been reduced. Yeah. Well, that sounds exciting. Do you have any success stories from that cohort that you'd like to share? Anything that's been super successful with this first group?
I'll have to pull them up.
Yeah.
So this one comes from Darnell. As a 32-year-old gay black man who was raised in McMinnville and recovering from substance use disorder, 5+ years clean and sober, being a part of the Black Resilience Fund cohort has been transformative for me in ways I never expected. The support and financial help I've received from Brown Hope have not only been a lifeline, but a key part of healing wounds I carried for most of my life, caused by negative experiences I've had with black people, which I always assumed had to do with my sexual orientation. The unexpected love, support, and generosity have helped me rebuild trust and reconnect with my roots. The funds have allowed me to bridge the 3,000-mile gap between me and my black family after 30 years of estrangement, reigniting bonds that had long been distant, as well as establishing new bonds with family members I had never met. This journey has restored a sense of belonging, healing, and hope I didn't know I needed. Since my time in this cohort, I have remained connected to a side of my family whom for my entire life I believed didn't want or love me. Through this continued connection, my heart has begun to heal those childlike stories I told myself for most of my life. If this cohort were no longer a part of my life, the emotional, spiritual, and financial setback would be unimaginable. It has become an essential part of my growth, and losing it would mean losing a vital connection to healing and reconnection with my truest self.
That's powerful, a powerful impact for that person.
This is a testimonial from Rosalind. Being a part of the Black Resilience Fund connected me to a village of black people who foster support and a shared purpose. There are a few members that I have been deeply connected to. I have benefited from the wisdom of Ruthie and the faith exhibited by Enoch especially. Also in Lydia, I have seen so much strength and resilience that I am often in awe. Through this group, I get to engage with individuals, you, Cameron, especially, and I'm very glad you're at every meeting. I feel like you not only understand some of the group's experiences, but also uplift and encourage us in moments of need. And I hope I have uplifted the group similarly. They might not know it, but I often reflect on their words long after they have been said. Cameron, you specifically have given us a clear example of a space where mutual aid, storytelling, and collective healing are prioritized. I have seen you reinforcing the idea that resilience is strengthened through community care. These spaces and opportunities are something I have longed for. It is where I feel most like myself and most accepted. This experience has allowed me to build a few very meaningful relationships. I get to exchange knowledge and contribute to a group of people who understand that we can be a part of empowerment that extends beyond ourselves. This group allows us to create a lasting sense of belonging within a larger movement of Black solidarity and resilience. I hope to be able to learn from these examples long after the cohort ends. Being a part of this cohort has deepened my understanding of mindfulness especially. It has given me a space where shared experiences foster growth and support. Through open dialogue and collective reflection, I have learned to be present in the moment. And I realize that for all of us, both our challenges and triumphs shape our journeys. Wow, I have learned to listen and pause, then reflect before speaking. The resilience of so many within the group has shown me the power of perseverance in the face of adversity. Yes, this means they might have gone through some shit in their lives, but grace carried us all through. I do know I have been afforded a real opportunity, and it has allowed me to understand more clearly the importance of self-care. I must be well in order to help others. So I make it a point to come to cohort meetings in a mindset that can give, not take. And when I leave, I am more apt to care for me because of what I have been a part of. Community strength has afforded me so much healing. And although the healing is a continuous process, I have found that it is easier because I am nurtured by the group's collective wisdom, real encouragement, and genuine solidarity. These people who have walked a similar path, my goal will be continued healing long after this group disbands. I may not be the most successful of the cohort, but success cannot always be measured in finance. My success feels like my heart healing and my soul flying. I'm returning to my most innocent self. This experience has taught me that true well-being comes not just from individual effort, but from the strength found in unity and community.
That's beautiful. I imagine that, hearing both of those, the ripple effect that will be created from what you've done, that this cohort of people who have had these incredible experiences as a group and built these relationships will then extend that out beyond the group. So that's very magical. That's wonderful. And I know you have an event coming up that you want to talk about coming up actually on May 15th. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder. There's a lot of feelings around that, as I'm sure for all of us. And I'll be honest, 5 years ago in 2020 was the last time that I truly felt hopeful. Living here in Portland and living here in this country, we have taken so many steps back. I see so many Black, brown, indigenous people and people of all racial backgrounds in constant places of crisis. And we're living in a time of an uncertain future where are we safe? Are things going to get better? And so this event that we're putting on, We Are the Bridge, Rise for Racial Justice, is an entire week of action. We're organizing this as a tribute for George Floyd, who, like his daughter Gianna said, changed the world. We looked at that pain and that trauma and that outrage, and we metabolized it, and we transformed that into compassion and collective action. And so in this 5-year anniversary, it is a moral calling to bring us back into awareness of what we are capable of and what we need to do today. We marched for George Floyd. We also march for Breonna Taylor and Quanice Hayes and Kendra James, Michelle Cusseau, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, Mike Brown, and so many more. We march so that it won't take another Black person being killed in this country for us to do the right thing, for our elected leaders and our business leaders to do the right thing. And so we have this whole week of action, creating so many opportunities between May 15th and May 24th for Portlanders and Oregonians to come together and to be a part of a new resurgence of racial justice activism that is in need of reviving here in Portland. And so there's 4 different events a part of this We Are the Bridge Week of Action. Our first one is coming up on May 15th. It's a Thursday, and that is a Nonviolence De-escalation Training that's being facilitated by the Portland Peace Team at openHAUS on Northeast MLK in Alberta. It'll be an opportunity to learn about how to de-escalate and foster peace in times of conflict, including if you're at a march or a rally. They'll be using the CLARA method, which has been used by peace teams across the world for de-escalation and nonviolence. After that, on May 17th, a Saturday, we'll be having a community grief circle at Alberta Park, which is on 20th and Northeast Killingsworth, and that will be an opportunity for us to be in collective public space and to release, forgive, and heal wounds and trauma related to George Floyd, police violence, and our current state of the world. And so we have so many different trained, experienced healing practitioners and facilitators who are going to be leading us in song and prayer and meditation and drumming and poetry. We're going to have an optional potluck as well. And so we are really creating a space for there to be safety and vulnerability, authenticity, and space for our grief, for our shame, our guilt, our anger, and our fear, and creating that collective space for us to metabolize and transform those energies so that we have more space in our hearts, in our minds, and in our bodies for peace and joy and happiness and love. And so we're creating that healing space and that grief circle as a way for all of us to come together into a healthier tomorrow. And that will be happening on May 17th. On May 22nd, we have a Know Your Rights training that will be online, facilitated by the National Lawyers Guild. And so they're a really great organization that both provides legal observers for different demonstrations, but they also do these Know Your Rights trainings to help people know what constitutional rights they have when it comes to police interactions at First Amendment events. So if you are in public space and you're using your First Amendment right of freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, there are rights that you have that you can utilize if you are confronted by a police officer. And our Know Your Rights training helps you learn about that. And then finally, we have our signature event happening on Saturday, May 24th at noon at Revolution Hall. And that is the We Are the Bridge Rally and March. And that will be starting at Revolution Hall in Southeast Portland. We will be marching through downtown Portland. We will be leading that march to the Burnside Bridge. And that is a return to the place of the iconic 2020 protest photo that was shared across the world and inspired an entire nation to uprise. And so we're going to be having a 9.5 minute of silence on Burnside Bridge, and that is an acknowledgement of the amount of time that Derek Chauvin's knee was on George Floyd's neck. And so that is our main event. It's going to be on May 24th at noon at Rev Hall. And that is our entire week of action for We Are the Bridge, Rise for Racial Justice.
And if someone who's watching or listening wants to find out more about that week, where would they go for the events?
Of course, you can find Brown Hope on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. Our handle is brownhope.org, O-R-G, and they can also go to our website, which is www.brownhope.org. And we're encouraging folks to continue to support the movement by using the hashtags Black Lives Matters and hashtag Be the Bridge on social media.
Okay, wonderful. Is there anything else you want to share about Brown Hope or yourself or the upcoming event?
Yeah, we're grateful for this opportunity to talk about the need for racial healing in our communities. And I believe that that does take each and every one of us. I have seen such incredible good here in Portland and in Oregon. I know that I am the person I am today because of perfect strangers helping out. And these were folks who were Black, who were white, who were brown, who were every different background. And it is my hope and dream that we return to a place in our country of civility and kindness. And that means we need less division and more bridges. So I hope to see you at any event within the We Are the Bridge Week of Action this month. Yeah. Thank you.
If someone wants to support Brown Hope, other than attending the events, if they want to give money or support the programs that you have, how can they do that?
You're welcome to go to our website, www.brownhope.org. We definitely are looking for folks to hold house parties and get their friends involved. For example, every year during June, we have an annual Juneteenth campaign. So June 19th, which is Emancipation Day, it was the day that is recognized of Abraham Lincoln signing the Emancipation Declaration, which allowed for enslaved Black people to now become free citizens of the United States. And so every year on June 19th, we celebrate the emancipation of Black people, and we continue to raise awareness of our ongoing work for Black liberation. And so every year we do a small business campaign and fundraiser called Juneteenth PTX, and we invite local small businesses to donate a percentage of their proceeds of their funds to Black Resilience Fund and support the 22 families in our basic income cohort. And so if you want to help volunteer and reach out to businesses, or if you know a small business or you own a small business, we're looking for more small businesses to sign up and participate in the Juneteenth PDX campaign this year.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Cameron, for being here today. I wish you all the best, and I love the work that you're doing, so thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on This is PDX. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a moment to follow, like, or leave a comment. Better yet, tell your friends by sharing this episode with them. Follow us on Instagram at thisispdx.or, on Facebook at thisispdx. Watch this episode on YouTube at This is PDX Now. Thanks to NetSpace for sponsoring This is PDX.